Hello,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
You must be Erica.
I'm Erika. Nice to meet you, Dan.
I was doing a little research yesterday and I saw you saying it's like your first week or something. That probably was
Oh, yeah,
film
just
development.
started. Brand new.
Just started.
Yeah,
Okay.
so bear with me.
Yeah, no, that's fun.
Yeah. So, Dan, introduce yourself to everyone here.
Hi, I'm Dan Searles. I'm a writer of novels and screenplays and songs for that matter.
Oh, songs too. That's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have written a Western, I heard. I would love to know more about it.
Yeah, I've written a Western called Bill Tillman and the Outlaws. That's the working title. And it's actually been made into a film at this point. It's based on a true story, and then we riff on the true story. But the Bill Tillman was a legendary lawman. He kind of fell out of the limelight, I guess, because of the way he died. He died tragically. He was shot on duty at almost 70 years old. And that's what people remember. They actually made a Sam Elliott movie about that. And it was good, but it was tragic. And I thought, man, it's kind of terrible that all this guy is remembered for is the way he passed, right?
Mhm.
So I said, I think I may want to correct the history a bit and let's try to make Tillman as much of a legend as Wyatt Earp and those guys because he was every bit their contemporary, Bat Masterson and whatnot. So what I'm about to tell you is true. In the early 1900s, Bill Tillman decided to make a movie, a reality television show, where he was going to set the record straight because all of these crooks that he had arrested were now having dime novels written about them. And they were making the dime novelists from New York, were making the heroes out of these bad guys. And he said, I'm gonna correct it. So he made a movie where he had himself arresting the real outlaws that he had arrested formerly. So he hired them.
Right.
They made a reality show. 8 minutes of that still exists in on YouTube. It's
Um,
a silent picture. It's called Bill Tillman and the Passing of the Outlaws, and it's really rudimentary. They didn't have a lot of skill back then, but the film was the second biggest hit in the country at
wow.
at the time. So he did his job. But I'm watching that and I'm hearing this story actually read a clip about that big in True West magazine. And I've always kind of been Peck's bad boy. I was at the principal's office all the time, and I'm thinking, you know, if if I was the Outlaws and I had been hired by Bill Tillman to pretend to rob the bank, I don't think I would pretend. And one of my characters says at one point, Cole Younger, I've never pretended to do anything in my life. So while they're being filmed pretending to rob the bank, they rob the bank for real.
Yeah.
And that's the plot.
It
So
sounds like an adventure.
it's an adventure. It's
Yeah.
really, really funny. It's lighthearted. We've got some tough times everybody's going through. And this is just something and kind of read it and just chill, and
Yeah.
that's the feedback I'm getting is it's fun and it's based in history. It's obviously a historical fiction. I
Right.
take a lot of liberties, but the baseline is true. And from that, I'm already working on my second novel with Tillman and some of these characters I've created going on for adventure number two.
So this has been adapted, correct? I would love to know what your experience with
Yeah,
screenwriting is
it,
like.
it, it has been, and it has been. And it was made into a movie called Bill Tillman and the Outlaws. Some places they call the Marshal. It was done on a string budget. It was really cool. I wrote the screenplay as well. Some crazy guy decided he was going to make it.
Mhm.
And we have Western fans, I hope, watching this. So let me
Yeah.
say that one of the coolest things for us was we got some old Western actors to come on board for our film, and you'll see them throughout it. Don Collier, who co-starred with Elvis but did 6 John Wayne movies. He was a regular actor in both The Young Riders and with Josh Brolin and The High Chaparral. Was in it. He was 90 years old. He heard about the picture, called us, and we said, Mr. Collier, you're 90. He drove himself from Kentucky to West Virginia, and we had him doing stunts. I mean, it was crazy. Johnny Crawford, the rifleman's son, came out of retirement. He does a 1-minute cameo. And both of those gentlemen have passed away. We also have Lana Wood from The Searchers, Natalie's sister, but also plenty of Tool and Diamonds Are Forever. And let's see, Darby Hinton, who was little blonde-haired Israel Boone on the classic Boone TV series. So we had a lot of, Pat Buttram's nephew, who's his lookalike, John Buttram, is in it as well. And an actor from Godless as well is in it. So we just had a lot of Robert Carradine, I'm forgetting, who made his film debut in The Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Actually, that's not true. He made his movie debut in John Wayne's The Cowboys. He made his film debut in Bonanza. So he's got Western bona fides way back.
A ton of really cool people.
Yeah, and they were cool people. And it was my pleasure, I mean,
yeah.
Unfortunately, Don and Johnny passed right after that. But, one of the highlights of my life is being able to listen to these guys' stories and be able to get to know them, and in some cases call these guys friends. So it was really, really cool, and it's and to be able to do that on just a shoestring like that and film for 22 days and just have everybody be all in was amazing. By the way, Lana Wood and Darby Hinton are two of the nicest people. Johnny and Don as well. It's the nicest people you ever met.
So I want to ask you, what is it about Westerns that you love so much?
Westerns is the American art form. I mean, that's it. This is what we do. Our country was built with a bunch of pioneers that we came originally from Ireland to the East Coast, and that wasn't enough. So we just, in Ireland and Spain and Scotland and all of Europe, and then later, all over the world, right? China to Africa and everywhere. And we just have a spirit that can't be contained. And I think, and it also speaks to the incorrigible nature. I think cowboys, by their nature, are people you don't mess with, and yet have an ethic that I think we need to get back to if we're losing it. But it's just an ethic of respect, and everybody, deserves respect. And I think John Wayne said something that to the effect of, I expect respect, and I give it back, or something to that effect. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. And I think that's also romantic. There's a certain romanticism to it, and there's certainly a good guy, bad guy thing. And you can violate that if you want to do a spaghetti type of thing, and that's legitimate as well. But I think for the American style of the Western, it's good guys and bad guys. I mean, heck, that's what Star Wars is a Western. And some of, that's we're all just riffing. I mean, a lot of them, America can't get away from the West. I mean, we're just tied into that in books and film and music. And I personally like all kinds of music.
I wanted to ask you, what is your approach when it comes to co-authoring a story?
Excuse me, co-authoring?
Yeah.
I'm a collaborative person. I like to collaborate. And although I have written some stuff on my own, I think you're better if you have the right collaborator in almost anything, in business and life, in your marriage. I mean, whatever you're doing, you probably are better off if you're able to have some give and take. And what's interesting about that is you have to know, and when I collaborate, the rule is if it's my idea, in other words, I originated the characters, then I get final say. If I'm working with someone else in anything I'm writing, be it music or whatever, if they originate the concept, they have the final say. And I established that early on. And But you have to be open to your ideas better. Let's go with that. If you're not, you don't collaborate.
Yeah,
You just have an editor if you're not willing to do that. But I like to collaborate. I really do. It's very, very fun.
that's awesome.
Also takes some pressure off, right?
I feel, yeah, definitely. Because I feel like bouncing off of each other too must be so much fun.
It
Like,
is
and
fun.
getting the feedback from each other, I imagine. Before wrapping this up, I do want to ask, what is your favorite Western movie?
Man, that's a good question.
Or maybe your top five.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that. I love The Professionals with Burt Lancaster, Woody Strode. Love The Professionals. I love Tombstone. Tombstone is a masterpiece. Um, I love Big Jake. Great movie. So those are the movies. That's the kind of stuff I gravitate for. I am ashamed to say this, but I just very recently saw Winchester 73 for the first time. I know Jimmy Stewart movies, I know Randolph Scott movies, I know, I love Louis L'Amour. I read L'Amour's stuff. But Winchester 73, other than one scene they screwed up, it's just a masterpiece of a film. So those are some I like.
And what about books on the flip side?
Yeah, I mean, I love To the Far Blue Mountains by Louis L'Amour. That I have probably read several times. That's the first Sackett novel from Louis L'Amour. The Virginian, is a great book. Those come to mind, right? But anything, look, L'Amour, to me, L'Amour can do no wrong. I like some of the stuff that Ben Bridges writes, a guy from Britain now that is a writer, and I like some of the stuff he writes. And Steve Hayes is another guy that writes under various names, but those guys do really good work. I just read one Steve Hayes wrote, and I can't think of the name of it, but it's about a Zulu warrior who gets lost in the West. They try to take him as a slave, and he goes out west, and he's a warrior. He's not going to be kept, and he has an adventure out west as he takes up with a medicine man. So it's a very fun. I mean, a medicine like a traveling medicine show. And it is just a fun read. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's on the top of my head.
Nice.
I also like Jack Reacher novels, but they're not westerns. But I always tell people Jack Reacher is the Lone Ranger. If you think about it, he always comes into town. In this case, Lone Ranger would just fix it all, but Jack Reacher kills everybody. And then he leaves, and they say, "Who was that masked man?" So Jack Reacher is a modern take on the Lone Ranger. As I say, everything American in literature and film comes back to some sort of take on the westerns. Star Wars is a western, etc.
Right.
Star Trek is Bonanza in space.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
I'm very excited for you guys to read what I've done. I mean, very excited. I think you're going to enjoy it, and hopefully we get a good series going here that is something that gives you a good laugh along with some solid adventure, and that's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, it sounds like such a fun story. So I have to read it. I have to read it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.